Okay, and in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to change the inner tube on a flat bicycle tire. This is an electric bike. You can see the motor there, but the principle applies for any pedal bike. Might be different on those big, giant, massive, powerful bikes that are practically really motorcycles with batteries. Might be different on one of those. You know, for that you probably just want to take it to a mechanic or something. But if you have a bicycle with actual pedals that you actually have to pedal, right? Even if it's battery assisted, this principle of how to change a inner tube will work. All right, let's get to it. All right, so the first thing you're going to want to do is flip it upside down. Actually, the real first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you've got the right tools. So I have a multi-tool here. These are very useful for bicycle repairs, all kinds of different tools on these. So these definitely come in handy if you've got a bicycle. Get yourself a multi-tool if you don't have one already. Spanner, you're going to need this for the nuts and stuff. And you're going to need a prying tool to get the tire off. And not quite necessary, but you should probably get some gloves as well because it does get real greasy. So yeah. Right, so now we're going to have to loosen that. There's one on both sides. Do not lose these. Now we're gonna disconnect the cable that leads to the motor from the battery. It's underneath this here. That's what it looks like. And now we just lift the tire up. I said tire, it's actually a wheel. And we get a prying tool to pop the wheel off. I said wheel, I meant tire. It's actually ideal to have two prying tools, by the way. And that's where the multi-tool comes in handy. Ta-da! So now we've got half the tire off. Do the same on the other side. You actually don't have to take the other side off, by the way. I prefer to though. Alright, now we've got both sides off. Now we take the inner tube out. Just loosen that. Well, not just that. I have to take the holder thingy off as well. Don't lose these. So the inner tube, just push it through. And that just comes all the way out like that. There you go. Now it actually may be possible to repair the puncture on an inner tube. I ain't gonna do that because I don't know how. So maybe in another video if I ever find out. But just so you know, it can be possible sometimes to repair the inner tube. Depends how badly it's damaged. But right now we're just going to replace it. But before we do that, we're going to check the inside of the tire because we want to make sure that whatever caused the puncture is not there. And this is why I like to take both sides off so you can really check properly as to what might be there, if there's any glass or stones or anything. Because if that's whatever caused the puncture is still there, you just put a new inner tube in, you're just going to get another puncture right away. So you don't have to take both sides of the tire completely off to do this. But because I like to check thoroughly, and this is the most thorough way I know how, I take both sides off. I'm sure people who are pros at changing tires have ways of checking thoroughly without checking and taking both sides off, but I'm just little old me, so this is what I do. Alright, inside is fine. Check the outside of the tire as well. Yeah. Alright, I think the outside of the tire looks good as well. Also worth checking the inside of the wheel, just in case. Alright, and I think we're good there too. Alright, so before we replace the inner tube, I'm just going to put one side of the tire back on the wheel. Now what's important when you're putting the tire back on is that you look for directional arrows. I don't know if you can see that. So that direction, you should be able to see that. Yeah, that directional arrow right there. That is forward. So basically what it means, when the wheel is going forward, it should be going that way. If you've got the tire on backwards, that can cause issues. So you want to make sure you put the tire on the right way around so that when you're moving forward, this is facing forward. All right, here we go. All right, so you should be able to put the 1/2 in by hand. And now we replace the tube. Make sure you get the right size, by the way, because these tubes come in different sizes and you don't want to accidentally buy the wrong one, because that would be awkward. Take off the valve and the stop thingy. Don't lose these. Now before you put the inner tube in, it's a good idea to put a little air in it first. And the reason for that is because of twisting. So this is a Presto valve. Yours might be a Schrader valve or a different type of valve. It's a Presto valve, so you gotta loosen that a little bit so you can put the air in. And just want a little air, not too much. You don't want to pump it all the way up, just a little bit of air. Like that should do. But the reason you want to do it is, actually maybe just a little bit more actually. But yeah, the reason you want to do that is twist it. So when you put the inner tube back in, it could sometimes twist. And if it twists, it could just end up tearing or whatever quite easily. So if you put a little air in it before you put it back into the wheel, you should reduce the chance of it twisting up. So you put a little air in it first, then put the inner tube back in. And of course, be careful not to twist it while you put it back in. You might want to take your gloves off for this, actually, unless you've got better gloves. Alright, that's all in. Just make sure I haven't accidentally twisted it. Alright, I think we're good. And now, put my gloves back on for this bit. Now, we're going to put the other side of the tyre inside the wheel rim. And you should be able to do most of this by hand as well. Though, yeah, it will get a little tight. Apparently it's a good idea to squeeze the tyre as you're going around. I don't know what the science behind that is, but, you know, if it works, it works. Now, you really want to do as much of this by hand as possible. Though, as you can tell, or as you might be able to tell, is that it does get real hard as you get towards the end of it, and you might need a tool. But the reason why you want to do most of it by hand is because if you use the tool, you could accidentally tear the inner tube. So to lessen the chances of tearing the inner tube, use it as little as possible at this point. But yeah, it's going to get real tight at the end, and you're just going to have to. But as much as you could do by hand, do by hand. But there we go. Be real careful in this bit. All right, there we go. All in, both sides. And now, pump it up. All the way up. All right, all pumped up. Just put the valve back in place. Can't really see what I'm doing there, but screwing that back on. I'm gonna put the holder nut thingy back on. And I'm gonna put the cap back on. And now, putting the wheel back on is pretty much taken off in reverse. There we go. Now let's tighten it back up. Make sure you do it real tight, by the way. Don't skimp on this bit. Now we're going to put this cable back together, which, by the way, I ain't know if you know, but that could be a pain. But yeah, this needs to go back in so, you know, battery's all operational and whatnot. In fact, when you're putting it back, make sure you look for, I can get it on camera, make sure you look for the arrows. It's probably got arrows to indicate they all line up. So you got arrows there and then arrows there. I could show it. There you go. Yeah, there you go. Huh. It's actually easier this time than the last time I did it. Interesting. Much easier. Maybe it gets easier the more you do it. I don't know. But anyway, that's done. So now, flip it back around. Well, move stuff out of the way first. And there you have it. How to replace a bicycle in a tube. Peace.